Hello, everybody. Welcome again to your favorite podcast, the number one podcast in Nigeria today, Democracy Games. And like you know, in Democracy Games, we try to teach our citizens how to win this game of democracy. Today, guess what? We'll be talking about a very important topic, organizing for change. Here we want to explore why citizens need to organize in a democracy, the steps to organizing, and how they form their issues. And guess what? We have seasoned guests in the house. When I say seasoned, I mean experienced activists. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm humbled to be in their presence. So I'll start with my guy first. We'll save the best for the last. Kelvin Mutu is a youth inclusion activist. He works with the Save a Life Today project. And he was also a member of the Nigerian Children Parliament. Honorable, you're welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very, very much, Brother Stephen. I'm happy to be here. I'm glad to be here and to lend my voice to a good cause.
All right. We also have somebody else, a brainiac, an expert in Nigerian civil society activities. Welcome. Her name is Agianpe Onyema. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Stephen.
And now, drums rolling. The one and only. By her hair, you will know. You know, date for Nigeria. Our mama, our grandma, our convener. What else? Comrade. Please be clapping. Comrade Ene Obi. Woo!
Hello, I'm glad to be here.
Wow, we're pleased to have you. We are pleased to have you here. And together we'll be doing justice to this topic, organizing for change. I'm sure we need that in Nigeria at this point in time. Ma, we'll be starting with you. Why is it necessary for citizens to organize in a democracy?
Thank you very much. In a democracy, it's supposed to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And when you look at the democratic environment, when you say by the people, it means you need to organize in conjunction with the people. When you vote in elections, it means you are part of those who are organizing or being part of it. You need to look at the role of a citizen. Who is a citizen? When you take it back a little bit and you look at what a citizen is supposed to look like, or what it's supposed to be, then you take it to like those who prepare for the voting, the body that is organizing the voting, those who are being voted for, all of them take their root from being a citizen. Without being a citizen, you cannot occupy that. And so when you look at issues of organizing, it means to be a citizen who is part of all of these processes. You need to improve your own capacity to be responsible, because you take a role. It's not just in taking a responsibility, but you need to be able to look at your responsibilities. Every appointment deserves, there's a responsibility and there's an obligation. When you are organizing, it looks like, so if we want to look at it in democracy, people are voted for and voted by the people, and then you have to hold people accountable. You have to be able to organize yourself, in a way that also follows the rules, the rule of law, or the policies and the laws that you have on the land. We the people, that's how the Constitution, Agianpe is a lawyer, so she will tell us more about Nigeria. You say we the people, and so the Constitution of Nigeria already, if you're a citizen of Nigeria, takes you to that level where you are comfortable for being there. But if you're a citizen and you are just sitting and not, acting, it means you are not responsible. When you vote for people and they are not doing well, you can't tell them. Even when you vote for the people and they are doing well, you also have to tell them. So I remember when Obama was retiring from the White House, when his tenure was ending, he said, I'm now going back to the most important duty, my seat as a citizen of America. And so when you're looking, why is it important to organize? Organize means that you have a decorum. we preach nonviolence in all the things that we do in organizing. By people coming together, you have to look at what is the issue. Organizing takes its root from the communities. Yeah. You know, I hate the word grassroots, but you use it very often. But you go to the communities, you need to talk together with people, you need to be able to listen to people, you learn from people, people learn from you, and then you work together to try to look at what issue is affecting the people, and then you're able to table your matters in a way that is acceptable, that you are not insultive, you know, because you have the courage of conviction, but you also must be humble at all times. You need to look at, you know, getting through steps. You want to let people know how they are feeling. You want to also let people know what you feel and what they should do. People should do the right thing. And in a democracy is supposed to, you know, in terms of the leadership, transparency and accountability is one thing that is core. And in a situation like Nigeria, I remember the struggle for democracy. Getting the military off the game required a lot of organizing. And so, but at that time, you also have a student population that was really, really vibrant, very vibrant, where the state has always struggled with the student union movement in terms of their resilience and so on. They also try as much as they can to silence their voices. Now we are looking at organizing at a time when you have more than 140 million Nigerians below the poverty line. Meaning also you have to focus on looking at, you're looking at not just the poverty level, the public institutions that created majority of the people that are now in governance. You have to be able to look at that many of these institutions, we are no longer investing in the human capital, you know, and the schools are going down, but we are also not investing in the young people of Nigeria. So their organizing there's a distortion in terms of genuineness in organizing, because a lot has been done, a lot needs to be done. We need to be more organized.
Yeah, could we also be because the student union governments in tertiary institutions are not as, I don't even know if they exist anymore. It seems like a lot of them don't have the student union government, or they have changed focus. So, and I'm happy you brought that up, because I know this is a conversation that we've had before, and you being an active student unionist in your days, you know, it's something that has worried, as in I've been bothered about how come things are not like how they were when you were in university.
No, I think we're looking at investment. You know, investment in the human capital. At that time, I was in school. I see had scholarship. You know, not many people are getting scholarships these days. There is a lot of, you know, you now have fee payment. And I will tell you, I went to a school a couple of weeks ago. There are about 200 students in a class, and only about 65 of them were able to pay their school fees. What does that mean? Because when we are talking about organizing and we are looking, you know, the government is looking at us as if we're challenging them, we have to challenge them because majority of them were given scholarships. And their scholarships was a different one from the time that I went. You know, they had scholarships and there was no fee paying and all. They were investing in the human capital to qualify the young people for the economy of Nigeria. And that's the workforce. It's not the same anymore. Even in our time, they were still, you know, there was a lot of focus from the government. They want to really silence many arrests and detention and so on and so forth, unless you could be bought. And at that time, it wasn't easy because the value issue has a lot. You know, they were very vibrant activists. And we had a lot of people who were behind the activists, who were older activists, who were standing like the lawyers, you know, like the blessed memory, Gani Fayemi. But you see, you have Femi Falana, who will go from where to Msuka, you know, on the road to go and defend students and so on and so forth. So why organizing is to have a better focus. We need to listen to citizens. And citizens need to know the process of organizing, the process of also making sure that you organize with the quality of people, you build a critical mass to engage government. When you have nobody engaging you, it means you are no longer, you don't even, they don't value you or people. But right now, what we see in Nigeria is that, there's a lot of disillusion. A lot going on.
Yeah, and in recent times, we've seen a lot of movements being proscribed by the government at some point. How do people navigate that thin line between being proscribed by the government? Because, like you said, sometimes when you organize and try to advocate for your issues, sometimes the state sees it as a challenge to them. How will people navigate to ensure that they don't cross that line and stay on the right path?
I think we need to look at it from the point of you being a citizen. You have your role. The people in government have their role. All they have is a tool. Because when you have voted people into government, it means you have given them a tool for administration. That's what government is all about. But the process of governance is also as important as the usage of that tool and who is involved in the tool usage. And so, how do you guide yourself from not crossing the line? I don't see which line we cross, because even during the government, during the military, we're able to challenge the military.
Yeah.
And I remember we going with Clement Wankwo, Olisa Agbakoba, and a host of others, going to the African Commission on the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, calling the military. They had an extraordinary session for us in Kampala. We went there. This was 1995. We were there to challenge the military and ask them to go back. But you can imagine, even that time, we're not threatened by the military, in a way that the embassy will even come to the hotel to come and see us, okay, have your meeting, it's okay, and all of that, and we came back to the country. But when you are seeing an environment where it is volatile in a way that even the NLC president can be so beaten, it means we have gone down, down, down. It means there is something. And it means that nobody is safe, but we have to keep organizing. We have to drum it back that it's our vote we are using, and we have to organize ourselves. We have to keep organizing. We don't have a choice but to continue to organize and challenge. But critical challenge, that is why you need to, in organizing, you need to have capacity building for those who are engaging, because there are steps in advocacy. If you go and connect with the people, you do a presentation to people, this is what is disturbing us in terms of the issues, and they listen to you, it's okay. All we want is pro-people governance. But if they are not listening, then you escalate. Escalation means you have to learn the steps to also take it. You have to lobby, you talk to people, then you protest. You have your right to protest. And not crossing the line. What line are you crossing? Many of the movements are not registered. You don't register movements.
No, you don't.
And when we had women in Nigeria and all of, even students' union, you don't register. It's a cut of the people. Yeah. And so you are not registered with anybody. So who is prescribing you?
I also think that maybe there's a bit of compromise in some of this. You have to have a shared purpose as a people to say, okay, this is the change we want, but all of us have to be on the same page. A good thing you bring up NLC, because from what has happened in the past up till now, even though this present one has tried to engage the government on different issues, but people don't want to fall into line and say, okay, we're part of this.
Is it the government you have faith in? So if you say you don't have faith in NLC, is it the government?
Exactly.
So it's the quality of the citizens that we're dealing with.
So the purpose is not wholesome. Maybe when we get to that time when everybody feels that we're on the same page. And this page is that we want change in a certain way, then things will begin. That organizing will seem very easy. But right now, honestly, like you say, if you're speaking about change, you have people who are supporting
the change
what we have right now, giving excuses. Oh, it's better than where we are coming from. At least we shouldn't be like that. There should be zero tolerance and then an expectation that democracy gets better and not declining.
Wow.
I think adding my voice to what we're saying right now, I think one of the challenges or one of the reasons why I feel that our organization for change in this my generation has reduced, I think it also has to do with schooling too. Like, I think in generations before us, the schools were attended, there was clamor, You could see, like mommy spoke about SUG, you could see SUGs. Nowadays, there are a lot of private schools. I went to a private school. And throughout my time in private school, there was no organization for change. There's no SUG in private schools. And most of the students go to private schools. And then in government schools, even in government schools right now where you have SUGs and people, you find out that a lot of parents don't want their children to get involved in things like that because they are scared with what's happening in the country. They are scared. And I would say to you, maybe because I went to school so many years after people went to school, I would say to you, even me in school, if I went to a public school, I wouldn't so much want to be with those clamoring for SUG and change. Why? Because those things are, it relates. At the end of the day, you think you are fighting for a cause, but then you don't know that there is a different cause. You might be with people and you're like, okay, I'm supporting this candidate and we're going for the SUG. You won't know that other people that are supporting that candidate with you are supporting it because of cult affiliations, because of other affiliations. And then when you come and you see those things play out at the end of the day, you'll be like, Omo, I'm not there for all this kind of things. So because you are doing it for a good cause. Okay, I want a good SUG president. I want change. But at the end of the day, when you see things playing out and you be like, oh, okay, this thing is a different ball game entirely, and you'll be like, okay, I don't want to be a part of this. And those are the reasons why a lot of young people, they shy away from. It's not like they don't want this change, but they shy away because even the process in which we are clamoring for the change is not right. We come out together and we have different reasons for coming out together. But
same thing as politics.
Yes, just because okay, we have one goal. We come out, we have one goal, and the goal is this enemy. We're not coming out because this is the actual change we want. We just don't want this person there. And then we fight, and this person leaves, and then the next person comes, and then you see that, okay, these people that push this person, there's a group that were pushing for this person for their own selfish interest. So at the end of the day, I think as young people right now, we should try that when we're organizing for change, we should not be fighting people, but we should see how we can change the system. The problem with Nigeria and with everything going on is not about the people. It's really not about the people, but it's about the system. If we keep fighting the people will go. The people will change, but the system remains. I remember when Jonathan said he wanted to remove subsidy, everybody was like, hey! People were not shouting because they were angry, wanted to remove subsidy. They were angry because it was Jonathan.
You're right.
We don't want this man again. This man is too, we don't want him again. And at the end of the day, you fight. The person left. A different person comes. The system remains the same. There. And then the another person comes again, is telling us that, okay, the same person that was pushing comes and is removing. So, and it's the system. We shouldn't be fighting to remove people, but we need to change the system. So in our clamor for change, we should have our objectives, our goals well drawn out. Not because, oh, we all want this thing to happen like this as one objective. Then we'll come, okay, that one objective has been achieved. What of the rest objectives? So we should be able to have a laid down objective and goals and then fight the system and not the people, because the people will change. And if the system remains the same, the new people will not be able to do much with that same system.
Okay, I think you have brought in something that we need to. You rolled out a lot of points.
Yeah.
And one of it is when there is an organizing going on in school, when you go back to school days, when you call for a meeting, for students' meeting, there are people who you don't have to mobilize. They'll be there. Those are natural activists. They'll be there. There are people you have to mobilize. There are those who will stay back. You have to. It doesn't take begging for an activist to jump out. You will be there. It's in your nature that when there is a call, you will come out. There are people who will never go into, they will never go into students' unionism. That one, they can support you, but they cannot go. They are there. But I think what you are bringing on board as well is looking at private universities who are not allowing organizing to hold. Because we are talking about, in the private schools, you have school prefects. Leadership is groomed It's grooming right from primary school. You have a head girl, head boy, and all of that, and then going through to the university. It is those leaders that are going to the university. And so it's the same people. And so leadership is a process of learning as well. Managing the people and also agreeing the people with the people is very, very important. So when you talk of the struggle, when we talk of organizing for change, you are looking at it down to the grassroots. It's not only a change at the national level, at the local government level, or at the state level that you're talking about. Organizing for any change will require that you are able to look at what is the issues. It's issues that generate how you mobilize people. And so what is the issue that you are mobilizing people for will always determine. Something can happen and it's spontaneous.
Yeah.
The answers, when it happened, you know, there were so many things that are bottling up. And that's what we are still telling the government of today. When we are telling you about certain things, worry about the people. We have millions of young people on the streets without jobs. You can do things to create jobs. You are not listening. When you are talking about, I don't want to go into the policies of, subsidies, because I was working at the Nigerian Labour Congress at the time they started introducing, and I don't believe there is any subsidy. You cannot leave the responsibility of a government who is not able to process its crude and is taking it out of the country and bringing it out, the irresponsibility and the mismanagement of governments. You are now leaving the poor to pay the price. And so it's like you are a joke.
Wow.
We had how many refineries in the country before? The refineries have gone away just like that. When you have refineries, one refinery will employ thousands of people. The byproducts of a refinery also goes into the economy and all of that. And then we watched because of the mismanagement and also the atrocities and the lack of trust and the corruption in the system, they silenced all our refineries, and then everybody started importing. Importing the fuel, we export, and then they import, and then we have to pay the real. So when you see a government that says, we just wake up one morning, Nigeria is going into docility. They are getting docile, that nobody's, for a price of crude, 165, you wake up, and then it's 617, and you are still sleeping, and you are still lying down on your bed. It's like Nigeria is just a wonderful country.
Maybe
so I don't want to go into that issue. But in organizing, we have to continue the struggle. If we can struggle with the military, in a democracy, we are talking of organizing in a democracy. We had protests that, in the last one, which is the most recent, maybe organizing for the gender bills.
Yeah.
We rose overnight. It was not organized. And we were at the National Assembly for how many weeks? For 4 weeks. You will not, but the only thing as a leader or as leaders is for you to make sure that you let the people count. You listen to the voice of the other segments. You listen to them, and every day you need to plan, take into consideration, the people, the people matter, the target, everything has a target. When you're organizing, it has target. It has levels of target, depending on where.
Structure as well.
Yeah, a structure as well.
Leadership.
And then, a leadership. But not to say that we cannot fight. The fighting is a struggle that you have to fight for the next generation. If today's generation, many of our children cannot pay their school fees, and you are living the fight today, the next generation, only the children, the world will be the world of the children of the rich. And it will not be a balanced rich, because we went to school with children of presidents, governors, and everything in the same public school. Yeah. And we're paying tax, everybody that responsibility. I pay tax, you pay tax, you cannot ask questions, you need to ask questions, because that's what qualifies you as a citizen. And a citizenship, if you are corrupt as an ordinary citizen, you are the same corporate. If you are corrupt as an office holder, you are the same. And if you are corrupt as a leader, you are the same. All of you are together. And so we need to look at the quality of citizenship. We need to dig into what quality are you. But like Kevin said, are you going into this planning or this purpose because of your selfish means? I pledge to Nigeria, my country. We are Nigerians. And so when you pledge to Nigeria, it means patriotism is at its highest peak. You have to be a patriotic Nigerian. and to allow other people to also express themselves, that your point, you count, others count, we all count, and we need to have a conversion point, a place.
Ma, I want to ask you, these issues have been identified. If, for instance, young persons in Nigeria want to organize right now, what are the practical steps to this organizing, and how do they also sustain this movement to ensure that their goals are achieved?
So we've already sort of raised some of these things. What exactly is the goal? So what are you organizing change for? Are you seeking inclusion? Are you seeking, it has to be that specific so that everybody is on the same page. So that's why I was saying there has to be a shared purpose and a vision for that organizing. And then when in organizing, it's not just enough to mobilize people. Those people have to be able to build their own resources that they need to be able to bring that change. So amongst those people, you are actually building them. And that's where the leadership, you cannot take away leadership away from organizing. And that's where leadership comes on. Build leaders from those people. If it's a community, if it's young people, from those young people who will engage other people, because they are the people that have the issue. So at the end of the day, you can't take away leadership. You cannot take away building relationships, a structure, and a shared purpose. And then what action are you looking for? And then there's a lot of strategizing and, using tactics and all those sort of things to be able to arrive at where it's not just by protests. Yeah. So, there are several things involved. And when you begin to speak to the people who need this change, those ideas now begin to, so how do we get to this? Do we write to these people? Do we go on the streets? All those things. But again, when we talk about the answers, and for me, I think that's one of the things that was lacking. It was very good mobilization, but the structure was not there.
How?
Madam Ene also talked about regional groups. You need to have so for instance, if you start something at the national, then every state has to have a structure of people that have the same vision so that nobody is derailing. So at the end of the day, some people say, oh, they collected money from the government. Why are those people collecting money from the government? Were they part of you? Did they have that vision with all of you in the first place? Or it was an opportunity? So those are the things in, organizing. It's a people-centered change that you're looking for. So those people have to be at the fore, because for them, they need that change.
Well, since it's a people-centered approach, will it not be difficult to get a leadership in that sense? And for instance, the NSAS movement, which is the most recent powerful organizing that happened in Nigeria, they said there was no leadership. And I've also read about there's a model, they call it self-managed groups without leadership.
I don't know. So who interacts with the government, for instance? Who?
They did not.
Yeah. So was negotiates rather with the government on behalf of the people. So now you leave room for some kind of porous arrangement, and anybody just comes and says, oh, I'm part of NSAS, I want to be able to. I'm just using it as an example. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened. But that could be something that someone just comes and say, oh, I'm part of, like I said, an opportunist, and says, oh, I'm doing this for this, but nobody really knows who is doing what. Another thing, your demands. You have to stay on course. Everybody has to be on that course. And that's where the call to action is. So what do we want? And it has to be clear. That vision has to be clear, that this is exactly what we want out of this struggle. So you don't start with 5 and end up with 7 and then end up with another thing. You have to stay on course to the end. Get that one. If you want, start again all over on another one. But you have to have achieved your purpose at the end of the day.
Wow. The Japa syndrome. I believe now unemployment is sending a lot of Nigerian youths away from Nigeria. How can we organize to solve that problem?
I think we have an association called Association of the Unemployed. I know, I can tell you, there are some activists who have been struggling with that. An association of the unemployed. And their voice is loud, but maybe not loud enough. The voice of the young Nigerians are drowning. The voices of the young ones are drowning. And we are watching them drown because we are churning out thousands or millions from universities every year. And there isn't much space for them. And I think, the government can look at the issue of industrialization. I think during the downturn of the, Fourth Republic, we looked at, Obasanjo doing so many foreign trips to go and invite people and all of that. But there are some basic amenities that you need to set up. The basic infrastructure. For example, if you are looking at development, you are not talking of roads anymore. Roads is a past tense because it's a given that you must have good roads to connect the cities.
60 years after.
So 60 years after, in fact, some of the roads in Nigeria, you even leave the road and enter the bush in order to continue your journey, to bypass. And we used to have road maintenance, for example. Those things are gone. We have engineers, that are in Ministry of Works and Housing, or is it Ministry of whatever, whichever one that you are calling it now, that you have engineers, Nigerian surveyors that are retiring without going to make any road. We have Nigerian engineers. It was made use of during Marwa's time in Lagos. I was in Lagos then. Marwa used the locals to maintain roads, all roads. And they were able to produce a bitumen and everything. They did that. But we have a whole workforce that you can pay very cheaply to maintain all the roads in Nigeria. Some of them are a gorge. I say kudos to Nigeria, the National Association of Road Transport Owners, because some of the roads, you will never put your vehicles on those roads. How they are doing it, I don't know. So those are basic amenities. Another one is like electricity. Electricity should be given. We have had contractors who were brought to Nigeria before, and the contractors looked at, our, rivers and all of those things, and they said, Kainji Dam can give electricity to Nigeria 24 hours and even 4 more countries. And they still turned it down because of corruption. Because of corruption, those people were not awarded, and they didn't allow themselves to be corrupted. An embarrassing situation I found myself somewhere. But I can tell you that because of corruption, we have not been able to move forward. We have very corrupt people in the system, and the only way we can really, I like to say, there should be repentance, because many people have gone. There is a lot of insanity because you steal something that you cannot even use in your lifetime. And whether, I mention it all the time, if you steal 1 naira, you're a thief. If you are stealing 1 million, you are also a thief. And so we have so many thieves. So what is the quality?
What of 500 million?
500 million or billions that they are stealing, they call it, they start codifying the languages and saying it is mismanagement, a lack of trust, or miss whatever you are doing, a thief is a thief. And those people who have lost their values, we need a recall. Nigerians need to reflect. Those who are stealing, because your children and your grandchildren do not have anywhere to go. We need to be able to, the textile industry went down. It was employing millions of Nigerians. And so we need to refine oil here. Industrialization can, really help employment of young Nigerians. And we need to deal with it. If not, if the very few. Now, when you are doing employment, they say you have to get letter you have to go to where, is it the Senate or the minister? Somebody has to give you papers. Many people do not have people to go with. That's not how we were. We had a Nigerian where you sit in your house and your letters come to you. And we need to go back in time. The more you are stealing, you are reducing Nigeria to the rubble.
What are some of the lessons that can be learned from previous successful movements in Nigeria?
Sorry. One thing I want to say about the NSAS thing is that when NSAS happened, But me, as an older activist, I was relieved. I was relieved and happy because I just look back and I say, okay, if we, the older ones, have failed, the young people will not let things go down. The young people of Nigeria will claim their country back. So whatever you are doing right now, you're thinking that you are having a free way. And what we are saying is, please try to organize yourself. You know, try to be more organized. The way it happened is spontaneous. That's how movement happen. And along the line, it creates. But you see the government arranging, you know, a marching, trying to march out, instead of listening to the young people of Nigeria. You are busy, you know, trying to counter them by creating another one, which they always create, a counter protest, trying to make Nigerians challenge themselves. And all of them, for how much? You are using them against themselves. And history will not forgive you. So organizing needs to continue. They will organize. They can organize better. They can root some of the things so that, you know, I think everywhere that we have, let's keep organizing. Let's keep demanding accountability from wherever you find ourselves. Sorry to get into that.
That's, I actually will just build from what she's saying. For me, in organizing, you have to tell stories. There's a lot of storytelling. And it brings us back to the point that even in this generation, her generation, they fought in the military. But
at a young age.
At a young age. There's nothing new under the sun at the end of the day. So take lessons from what has happened before. And I feel like maybe because we're in a democracy, everybody's more relaxed. When there was opposition of the military governments, people were more vicious. People were more together to drive out the military. Now, it's as if, okay, let's give this person a chance. He's my person or whatever. So people are not together. So people need to be together for change. That's one lesson. It's not enough for, yes, spontaneity is good, but it also means that you have to have a shared vision. And then take lessons from, you can't say that you won't interact with the older people. The older people have not failed. There's something that comes with, there's a vibrancy that comes with youth. It only goes down when you get older. Doesn't mean that you did not have that passion and fire.
Which older? I'm still on the streets.
Exactly. So for me, that's another lesson. You know, speak to people who have done this. That people are alive, activists. People take those lessons, tell those stories, and then incorporate it into whatever new thing that young people want to do.
Then to add a little, I know it might sound cliche, but sensitization and awareness is priority. I'm from the creeks.
Oh.
Until today, I can't drive a car to my home, like to where I'm from.
You have to use boats.
Yes, I have to park at a particular place and take boat for hours before I get there. Now you can imagine the mentality of those people. They want change too, positive change. But what you that is in Abuja might be clamoring for might not be their priority. They have little problems that to you is not a problem. They have little problems that to you is not a problem. That's why most times when we're out there clamoring for change, you see, it's easy to win these people over. Because with 10,000 naira, you can buy that person's change, his change. You can buy his change, yeah, because that 10,000 will take care of it for like 1 week. But it's true.
We see it in elections.
It happens every day. So these people, you need to meet them and sensitize these people over and over. You go to my place and you tell people about family planning, and they'll still tell you that you are trying to reduce the population of our people. Can't you see that the Northerners have more votes? Allow these people to give birth. So when I was in the Children's Parliament and we were doing those sensitization, I was shocked when I met those kind of reasoning from even educated people from that place. I was shocked. You're telling people, okay, you have to plan your life. You don't have much. You shouldn't have too many children that you cannot take care of. And they're telling you, no, don't encourage that kind of thing. Let them give birth to more people so that we can have more population like the Northerners. You need to sensitize those people. That's from my own place. You had people going to the north to go and sensitize, and they had their own issues. They will tell you that, oh, you are coming to immunize them from polio, that this immunization you are bringing has this, has that, is going to make them do this, make them. If they don't know they can't help. You need to sensitize these people on what this is what we are doing. This is our cause. This is what we are fighting for. This is how we are going to get there. No matter what these other people come and say to you, this is what you need to stand up for. If not, at the end of the day, when you say, okay, we're fighting for this and we're fighting for that, somebody else will come and say, okay, we can get it this way. They'll give you a short-term solution, which is not what you want. And you accept that short-term solution, and then it ends there. The future is dark. The present is just small lights. So we need to sensitize these people over and over and over again.
Okay, people, unfortunately, we have to stop at this point. And remember, you heard it first on Democracy Games. The people's democracy cannot develop faster than the citizens know how to function in that democracy. And here on Democracy Games, we're here to inform Nigerians on how to function in this our democracy and better our lot as Nigerians. If you want to learn more about organizing for change, please log on to our website at ProGender and sign up for our courses. We are happy to have you on board. Thank you so much for staying tuned on this sweet episode. I remain your host, Orji. See you again next week for another exciting episode. We have interesting guests coming next week. Ta-da!